Hello, this is Paul Wood at Twistle Stick meets Jonathan Emmins, founder, and Marcus Charles, partner at Amplify. Hi guys, how are you getting on?
All good? Thank you. Yeah, good.
Good to see you both. So if we can kick off with a bit of a summary of your career highlights to date.
Okay, yeah, I think we've probably got very similar career highlights. I think when we started working together at Making Waves, it was one of those sink or swim agencies, and you became a product of your environment, and there was a tight group of us who did really, really well there and really enjoyed it, and actually have regrouped in Amplify.
We all went off on different paths and set up Amplify, and it was really about getting the band back together. So a lot of the early clients and pieces of business we worked on, we were always trying to do really pioneering things. And with those pieces of work, there were clearly people that knew about us before. We were very under the radar. So I think one of the monumentous kind of moments was when we got that phone call from Honda, and it was like the first time a phone call had come in from a dream brand.
Definitely. And then I think winning Converse. So that was 4 or 5 years ago. That was an amazing pitch experience for us. And then taking it and really working with a brand who in the UK had just started out again after being taken back by Nike, and going on the journey of growth with them over the last 4 or 5 years.
I think as a personal highlight, we did a film back in start of 2012 called Fan Culture, which was looking at the way brands could engage with their fans differently to get great, mutually beneficial great results. And I think that was something, as a body of work that we were really proud of, but certainly a lot more phone calls were coming in, and particularly grew our international client base off the back of that. And then most recently, I think we won the event award for Best Brand Experience Agency last Thursday. So that's
Congratulations.
Yeah.
I still have a bit of a headache.
So if you could tell us a little bit about Amplify.
Shall I do a bit about
ethos
and a bit of sales? So in terms of ethos, running now for about 7 years, independent, and I think the founding principles that we set up with still ring true today. We always try to be a home for creative people and clients, and that's something we're really proud of. And then the other thing, which was kind of the equal parts geek, equal parts hedonist, we were always trying to pioneer the untraditional, but with the rigor of the traditional. So trying to look at new ways that we can kind of reach out and engage, and whether it's experiential, digital, social, those things quickly become the traditional. So what's next? What are the exciting areas out there? So essentially what we're always looking to do is trying to make really creative communications that actually make meaningful connections with our consumers. We're really strong on experiential and social, and I think they're great mediums because you get real-time feedback whether your consumers love or hate what you're doing, what they're feeling. So that's a really exciting area for us. So essentially it's about joining the dots between brands, people and culture.
And I think what's really exciting about Amplify and makes it a really exciting place to be are the people. And we're around 55 strong now, and we're kind of built out of this core of account handlers with social, creative, strategy, and production. And I think it's worked really well. And then we have this section we call Amplify X, who is our network of partners that we've developed over the last 10 years, who are absolutely trusted and help us deliver really, really great work.
So the best piece of career advice you've been given, guys?
I think mine's really, really simple and maybe a little bit cliched, but it was just like, do what feels right. I can't actually remember who said that to me now, but it was really, really early on, and I didn't have a clue what I wanted to do, but it was just, that's what I did, and that's kind of what led me to where we are today.
I think with advice, it's a difficult thing, isn't it? You should listen to things lots, but lots of people give you advice, and it's always got kind of sometimes their flavour and their experiences on it. So mine's going to be quite a left of centre one. So it's probably on a hungover Saturday morning watching Saturday Kitchen. So quite a left of centre one. And they do their omelette challenge, which is where they pitch famous chefs to try and make the quickest omelette. And I can't remember what the other chef was called, but you had John Christophe Novelli on there, and the other guy is just spinning his omelette around, and Novelli's just taking his time. The other guy's doing it and slops out some crap on the plate, and then Novelli's there, still taking ages, like the clock's ticking, he's not feeling any pressure, he's putting his truff on it. And at the end, one had a load of slop and one had this beautiful looking thing. And I think what's there is, clearly there are rules to follow sometimes, but sometimes there's a better way of looking at things. So that's my left of centre one.
Thank you very much. The most inspirational person you've worked with or for?
I don't have a specific person I could call out, and I don't think it's about any single person, but I'm really inspired by the people that I work with. And I don't mean Jonathan specifically, obviously he's very inspiring, but
specifically, I'm not the inspiring one. Thanks,
but
Marcus.
the team, but also outside of work as well. My friends in my wider social group, that for me is where I get my inspiration from.
Yeah, for me, I agree with that, but I'm going to be gushing about someone because I had a career high this summer where popular culture has shaped so much of what I've always wanted to do, and one of those people that I've always looked up to is Futura, the graph artist, and through a piece of work with Converse out in the States at South by Southwest, we got to not only collaborate and do some stuff with him, but hang out with him for about 3 days, and I think it was like being a teenager. Hello, Mr. Future.
It was like
very pleased to see you.
It was like an arty One Direction concert.
Yeah, but anyway, the stories, the breadth of things he's done, it was really inspirational. And he was also talking very heavily about Keith Haring, who again is someone that I just really respect his ethos with his art and always trying to get things out as well. So, you know, got Future, and then bit of Keith Haring thrown in there as well.
Biggest creative brief or best creative brief you've had a chance to work on?
I think for me that for not just simply the original brief, but the original Converse pitch for us was for what it represented for us, but also what it represented for Converse. It was a really exciting piece of work to work on. The pitch itself was fantastic. That we really enjoyed what we presented, and we the reaction that we got when we won. But then what the journey that's taken us on over the last 5 years has been fantastic.
For me, it's always the next one, what's next? Because pitches for me that kind of that period of a lot of condensed thinking. You're trying to build your relationship with the client. You're trying to find out things, quite often solving problems that weren't part of the original brief along the way. So we're not allowed to announce it yet, but we've just built a fairly big brand platform for a well-known spirit brand. So we're just about to launch that. So that's going to keep me busy for the next month or so.
How would you summarise the current state of the creative industry?
I think when you look at things, there's always good and there's always bad, and I think what's really nice is the constant blurring of lines, because certainly your role as a marketer 3 years ago will be very different from where you are today. When we sit around and have interagency meetings, it's great when it doesn't really matter who's coming up with the idea, it's how everyone gets behind it. And I think the whole idea with Amplify was about creating big ideas or working with big ideas, but making sure that they kind of ran through every touch point. So I think for me it's just that constant state of what's next, what's new.
And I find it really exciting. I think we're in exciting times as new opportunities to engage with consumers constantly, and with those come new challenges constantly, which is a really exciting time for me.
Yeah, I think the end of 2012, 2013, like brands were still spending lots of money, but it was quite conservative, quite austere, and then there were lots of eyes looking on it for obvious reasons. And clearly it's a bit more prosperous times, but it means clients are maybe more willing to go on these exciting journeys.
And if you could speak to a younger you leaving uni, what advice would you give?
For me, it would be, don't worry that you don't know what you want to do. You've got plenty of time to find out and enjoy yourself doing that. And actually, you will excel at the things you enjoy doing.
So what things did you try out before you became a leading light of the marketing industry, Marcus?
A couple of other things.
IT sales?
IT sales, very in my youth.
Nightclub runner?
There was a nightclub in South Africa many years ago, yes, yeah. So a few different things before I stumbled into this.
I just had to do something recently. It was a letter to your 16-year-old self. And I think with that thing, again, it's whether you're willing to listen to all those things and how you process that advice. And I think at different times you would or wouldn't, but I would encourage everyone to listen and make up their kind of own minds and their own opinions.
What's the most inspiring thing you've heard or seen recently, in recent times?
I think for me, one of the really exciting things at the moment is creativity in our youth, and through a lot of the work that we're doing with Converse is helping young creatives come through, and just the quality and the excitement that they bring in, and the way that they're almost challenging us in the way they're thinking, the work that they're doing, the way they approach things, and they're not burdened by some of the life experiences perhaps that we are, and the industry practices, and they're just coming at things in completely different ways. And I found it really, really inspiring working with them, and a little bit sickening at times.
Yeah, we did a space down at in Peckham called Cons Project, and which was a lot of the, again with us, the not being the experts, Mark and I are no longer the most convincing men to talk about youth, being the youth, but the good facilitators for reaching out to them. I think one of the things we did with them was a kind of Dragon's Den type exercise, and I think what was one thing that I was painfully aware we didn't have when we were younger. I think I had my first email address when I got to university, and it's one of those academic ones, and the internet, you had to queue up and it's really slow. And I think one of the exciting things is you can find out so much about stuff, old, new, future. You've got access to so much information, but I think that's also it can be a bit of a burden as well, because you have got all these opportunities and all these access. It takes quite a lot to process that as well, and I think that would probably be, again, you're watching these talented people that are putting it to good use, but making sure there's enough to guide others through that process as well. And I think that's where a little bit of responsibility for us, around the fields of marketing comes.
And if you were in the industry, what do you think you'd be doing?
I think my mum was a lawyer, so very linear, and my dad was a graphics designer, so very lateral thinking. I probably got the best of those both worlds, but when I was younger, I was stubborn. I wasn't going to kind of follow in any of their footsteps. Actually, it ended back in doing creative stuff anyway, with quite a lot of heavy analytical stuff in there. So I think I would have found, if it isn't this industry, I find something that did fuse creativity and analysis.
I don't know if it would have been by choice, but I'd have probably been something like Peter Stringfellow.
Not by choice.
Not by, well, maybe. I've seen a couple of photos of him
Got the hair.
Yeah.
Apart from brands you've worked on, any brands you'd like to have a crack at that you haven't worked on to date?
I don't think, I'm not going to name a specific brand, but I think I speak for both of us when I say we love a challenge, and almost I'd love to get your hands on a brand that's not doing that well, that's really in trouble, and the ones where that challenger position where you can have it's a lot more exciting, you have a lot more fun, and it is a challenge, and you've got that opportunity to rise up, rather than some of the brands where they're right at the top. It doesn't really leave you anywhere to go creatively.
Yeah, we're fairly lucky we work on some fairly amazing brands that have very much earned their position there, but it's a brand that's not doing well, or a brand we don't know about, or a brand maybe that's looking to do something different. And I always think Dove and their campaign for Real Beauty is a great example of a brand that maybe you wouldn't expect, using a lot of the stuff that maybe youth brands would have used, cut their teeth on. So I think again, it's all about how, a home for creative people and clients, it's all about how brave the individual or the brand would be that you can work with, and the exciting journey you can go on.
Funniest or awkward pitch you've been involved in, that you care to talk about without naming any names?
Pre-Amplify, we were in the days actually where we still pitched on paper in a sort of flip folder rather than a laptop. We had two clients. One was a kind of a cool electronics client. One was a wild alcohol brand that liked to push the limits on everything that they did.
Aftershock.
and somehow during the printing process, there had been a mix-up in the pages. So as we were presenting this great presentation to this electronics brand, the guy turned over the last page to find a picture of a small child holding a dog's tail up with a finger in its mouth and a little caption saying, "Only the dog knows for sure," which, well, it raised a smile, but I'm not sure. Yeah. We won anyway, so. Yeah.
I've got a more recent example than that. Recently I went out, we'd actually kind of won the first stage pitch and then had to go out and do the second stage pitch. And as we walked in, we found out we would be going through the pitch with the agency that had previously been told that they were going to do that piece of work just 5 minutes before. So that was a rapturous kind of, that was awkward. So
onto the quickfire rounds. Favourite current brand?
Got to be Uber. Completely
definitely.
Disrupted the industry in the way that they offer their service, the way that they interact.
Double espresso or green tea?
Double espresso for me, but a glass of warm milk for my non-coffee or tea drinking friend.
Quite right. I don't like warm milk, but I would take neither of those. Yeah.
Brightest person you've worked with?
Would have to say Dan, our strategy director, Dan Minty, we worked together in Making Waves, and despite that, he went on to have a successful career at Freud before rejoining us, and he's just absolutely phenomenal.
Can we make sure he doesn't see this, please?
No, gushing.
Most creative person you've worked with?
Definitely Bexy, our head of Insight. She's a really, really inspirational person.
Yeah, she didn't go through traditional schooling. When she was 18, she was coming up with TV concepts and actually selling them. I think that bought her first house. And then she went on to be creative director of MySpace, again moved into the digital world, and then she decided she wanted to kind of go back into academia, so she splits her time working with us and kind of doing the things like
doing
the fan culture. And then doing like really hardcore academia, so she's equally happy talking in front of the cameras to academics, and does it does it in a much cooler way than we do.
And is now about to head off to America to finish shooting her film that she's been making before she comes back and works with us again.
Yeah, so she's very, very inspiring character.
Yeah. Independent or network?
Independent.
Yeah, we've got to say independent. I was speaking to I think some people clearly set up agencies to sell them on, and for us, I think Amplify has always been the superhero outfit that lets us do things we wouldn't be able to do as normal people. So definitely the independent from that side of stuff. I was speaking to Pierre, probably one of our competitors that run that as well, and he was kind of talking about the network thing, and he said it was maybe the only way we'd consider it is if it was opening opportunities or kind of giving our superhero cape a few more powers to let us go and do different things.
Money or happiness?
Happiness. If you follow money, it never works.
Yeah, absolutely.
And twist or stick?
Always twist.
I would say yes. Always look at. I would say always look at the. I'd always say look at all the alternatives out there, but when you're onto something good, it's worth sticking with.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for your time today. Very insightful, very helpful. Hopefully to everyone who watches the video.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Are we meant to finish on twist because that's your name? No.